My name is Cartograph, and I am a minor attracted person.
I'm a pre-puberty map.
Introducing Super Pedo, with the supernatural ability to fall in love with children and treat them with the respect an adult receives. Australia, where I live. I'd read the hell out of that comic. 3-year-olds are awesome. I'm yet to meet one that doesn't want to learn how to read. They're really sweet, but can definitely be devious. 4-year-olds are so creative. They draw objects that actually look like objects instead of just scribbles. They can also get kind of obsessive with their activities or clingy with people they like, especially their friends. And they can plan too, even if it's only simple. From ages 5 to about 7 or 9 are also great, because you can actually hold conversations. Most of it involves them and their likes and specific things that happen. But nonetheless, with the right questions, you can almost see the cogs turning as they try to answer. And the way their face lights up when they do something well is something everyone should see. It's at this age I've observed the first talk of boyfriends and girlfriends, which is pretty interesting. Somewhere between 7 and 9, original thought develops. Kids of this age can come up with a hypothetical situation and apply logic and emotion to it. The first steps towards philosophy are found. My favorite conversations in life have come from either myself at 8 years old talking with my grandfather about space, or speaking with an 8-year-old about botany or something. Of course, with independent thought comes rebellion, as well as more intricate forms of peer pressure. It can be a very scary time for parents. Puberty is next, and I'll say I'm definitely no expert. I'm a pre-puberty map, so you'll forgive my ignorance. I'm a pre-puberty map.
I'm a pre-puberty map.
A common thread with anti and normie argumentation is that minor attracted people are just kitty fuckers, not child lovers. We have no emotional depth when it comes to our relationships. It's an unjust misrepresentation of us as humans. We're just normal people with the same wants and desires as everyone else, with the exception that we're sexually attracted to children. We want everything to do with a relationship, not just the sex. Many of us would even be fine with no sex if we could have the rest of the relationship. You know, the love, the affection, the care, the want to spend time together, the dates, everything else that makes up a proper human relationship we would love to have. We can't want this because it's with children. And it's a misjudgment of children. I mean, it's suggesting that kids are incapable of love outside of their immediate family and perhaps their teachers or something. And that's just not true. It's as though you think that they're pre-programmed with so many people that they can love, and that doesn't expand until they're older. It's not giving your kids any credit emotionally to choose who they like and who they trust. And I find it hugely unjust to treat children in such a way, to deny them their own emotions. Of course, based on the arguments I've seen and participated in on the opposing side, it would seem that that's the biggest concern is the sex. Children can't consent to sex, or it won't fit, or it causes huge psychological trauma. But that seems to be the biggest concern. Would most antis or normies be okay with, say, a 40-year-old dating an 8-year-old as long as there was no sex? No, of course they wouldn't. There's no argument I've seen about that except for a flimsy power dynamics one. It's not brought up until a map comes along and says, hey, we're deeper than that. We do want emotional connection with kids as well. And then someone goes, well, kids can't truly love you because of power dynamics, or blah 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 blah. Something stupid like that. Can kids love people or not? If they can, why can't it be people that aren't related? And if not, then why do they love their parents? Why do they love their pets? Why do they love their friends? And when does it come into effect? It literally makes no sense. How can you possibly have this much cognitive dissonance, or this little regard for the mental and emotional capacity of children? It blows my mind. Maybe it's not even to do with the sex or the dating or the map. Maybe it's got nothing to do with it. Maybe the parents are jealous. Maybe the parents are jealous. Maybe the parents are jealous. Maybe they don't want another role model in their life. That's an interesting thought, but I don't know how to confirm it or deny it, prove it or disprove it. There's so many benefits to it. I mean, not just for maps and not just for kids.
There's so many benefits to it. I mean, not just for maps and not just for kids. There's so many benefits to it. I mean, not just for maps and not just for kids.
But for the parents too. How often have parents wanted to go out on a date, but they couldn't because they either couldn't afford the babysitter or they couldn't find one? If your little girl or boy had a map boyfriend or girlfriend,
If your little girl or boy had a map boyfriend or girlfriend. If your little girl or boy had a map boyfriend or girlfriend.
they'd be over like that. They'd be over pretty much instantly, and you wouldn't have to pay them squat because they're there to spend time with their loved one. Free babysitting. How great is that?
Free babysitting. How great is that? Free babysitting. How great is that? Free babysitting. How great is that?
Another benefit is, when your kids start asking you question after question after question after question, and it gets so tiring after a while, you just say, because I said so, or, well, you could pawn them off to their boyfriend or girlfriend, who they can ask question after question after question after question, and probably not actually stop until their curiosity is satisfied. Maps will put up with a lot of shit from kids. I mean, the same way men will put up with a lot of shit from their girlfriends, or even just women, and I'm talking about straight men. If you want to think of any benefit for your little one to have a boyfriend that is a map, just think of all the different things that you would do for your boyfriend or girlfriend or wife or husband, all the things you'd love to be able to do, and apply it to kids. Take them out on dates. There you go. Your kids are gone for a while. You have the house to yourself. You can sleep. You can go have sex. You can make a sister. I don't know. You can make a sister. I don't know. You can make a sister. I don't know. They have another person to annoy that gives you a little bit of a break is the biggest one, because every parent is exhausted unless they've been able to afford like a nanny or something to take off some of the burden. That's what a map is. A free nanny.
That's what a map is. A free nanny. That's what a map is. A free nanny.
They also are an educator. They're in the sense that they'll teach kids how a relationship is supposed to be. They'll teach kids how a relationship is supposed to be. Plus, you get to keep an eye on that relationship and talk to the map about it, who's clearly able to speak and talk rationally, otherwise they wouldn't be able to get into this situation. So you can talk to them about any issues, maybe help them with realize that their partner, or however you want to say it, needs a little self-esteem boost, or is being picked on at school. It might help because it's not coming from someone in a position of authority. It's coming from someone who is treated with respect of an individual. But getting back to the perception of normies and antypes, you know what the worst part is? We fall for it every single time. They bring up sex with minors. They condemn it. We defend it. And we rarely ever get to the point where we're saying, okay, that's not all we want, because there's so many different ways they can phrase the same fucking question that we're stuck there refuting it from different angles, and until we're sick and tired of trying, or they won't respond anymore, and you don't have time to delve into the emotional aspect, let alone try and convince people of it, because it's hard to prove, because it's all first-hand experience.
You don't have time to delve into the emotional aspect, let alone try and convince people of it, because it's hard to prove, because it's all first-hand experience. It's hard to prove, because it's all first-hand experience. Because it's all first-hand experience.
Because it's all first-hand experience.
Because it's all first-hand experience.
The assertion that pedophilia is unnatural is no longer common, nor widely believed. When it was used, it was both incorrect and based on flawed assumptions. Pedophilia is natural. It's been observed within the animal kingdom on multiple occasions, across multiple species. On bonobos, both adult males and females interact sexually with adolescents and juveniles, 3 to 9 years old. In fact, young females go through a 5 to 6 year period, sometimes referred to as adolescent sterility, although no pathology is involved. Sexual behavior between adults and infants of both sexes is common. About a third of the time, it is initiated by the infant and may involve genital rubbing and full copulatory postures, including penetration of an adult female by a male infant. On chimpanzees, although incestuous matings between adults are not common, mothers engage in sexual activity with their infant son fairly often. Young females typically experience a 1 to 3 year period of adolescent sterility after their first menstruation, during which time they mate heterosexually without conceiving. On rat kangaroos, for example, adult males generally make more sexual approaches to juvenile females than to sexually adult females.
And that's just a few of the examples of adult-juvenile sexual interaction I know one source isn't enough as well, so here are a couple more. From feminism, child sex abuse, and the erasure of child sexuality. They were often justified as well by cross-species comparisons, which emphasized the naturalness of adult-child sex in other mammals. In Sex Offenders, Paul H. Gebhard et al. Claimed that sexual activity between adult and immature animals is common and appears to be biologically normal. Indeed, it is precisely what we see in various animals, particularly monkeys. This fact lessened the horror with which society views the adult who has sexual relations with young children. Old stags are always after the little ones, and the young does are always willing. Here are a couple of cases of human societies which engage in pedophilia. Towards the end of the Middle Ages came the first age of consent law in England, which vaguely prohibited ravishing a woman child. With no specifics mentioned, the age of marriage was assumed, which at the time was 12 years old. I have found no information on the prevalence or acceptance of adult-child relationships prior to this, but the fact that the punishment was only a misdemeanor suggests to me that they were probably mostly tolerated. Humans have accepted minor attraction in the past, evidenced by age of consent laws, and there are even contemporary examples of its acceptance. During World War I, Bronislaw Kaspar Malinowski wrote a book on the tribes of what's now known as Papua New Guinea. Of particular importance to this is the Trobriandov tribe, which has a very sex-positive society, with both men and women seeking out sexual partners with equal fervor. Boys as young as 10 and girls as young as 8 have sex, and this behavior is encouraged. Both the history of age of consent laws and the anthropology of various pedophile accepting societies are interesting topics.
My